Good morning. Welcome to Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze. Welcome to this Friday edition. Thank you for your patience. It's been a little bit of an interesting week around the Baze household. My extra help normally is not here this week, so it's been me running the show. Okay, I'm a preacher, dad, and try to multitask all at once. But thank you for your patience. I really do appreciate it. Now, let's see here. We've got Bible conference coming up. I want to give you just a brief update on that. I know you haven't heard much about it at all. But I am getting session number 7 wrapped up and finalized today. And what I'm hoping to do is by the time it's all said and done today, we're going to have, for every single person who is able to make it to the conference in person, you're going to have a folder with the entire note list for every single session to be able to take with you, keep it with you during the course of the conference, and then leave with it, and you can have it. And hopefully it'll be a pretty good resource for you, at least for you to go back and reference sometime. Now, what I will do for all those who are unable to attend in person, what I'll do for you is I will send you a copy online, right? I can send you a copy version of it. And what I would ask of you to do is just to let me know if you want one, okay? And remind me once it's all said and done, once it's all fully prepared. I think like Myra, for example, wanted a copy. If you can just I would probably say Thursday or Friday, Thursday or Friday of next week, if you want a copy and you're not going to be able to be there in person, just send me an email saying, Mark, I would like to have this, and then I will email you a complete copy of the notes, all right? But no distributing it beforehand, okay? I want it to be a surprise for the people to show up. So if you get one, all right, it's got to be a surprise. Keep it to yourself, all right? Okay, well, I really am excited about it. I hope that you are as well. I think it's going to be a good time. There are several. I'm really thankful for how things are at this point, especially in our effort to promote rightly dividing the Bible. There are conferences almost, I would say, nearly year-round. I don't know about winter time, but you've got this one in the spring. I'm not quite sure what is available in the summer. I know that we've got several different ministries around that do conferences. But Dr. White's Labor Day conference will be coming up at the end of August, the 1st of September. I will be there for that one. So if you'd like to come meet me in person, go to Dr. Randy White's Branson conference. I can't remember what the topic is this year, but it'll be good. And then his prophecy conference is going to be at the end of September. Now, I don't know if I should tell you this, but you know what? I'll tell you. If you attend Dr. White's prophecy conference that's actually at his church in Taos, you will possibly run into me. I believe the family and I were planning on making it out to the prophecy conference for the first time ever. That will be a great time of study, fellowship, learning. I'll be there, to sign autographs, kiss babies, all those good things. I'm sorry. But no, that will be a great time. We are really trying to, despite, I would say, our limited numbers, all right, as far as we may be low in manpower, but I would say that we punch well above our weight in firepower. We provide, I think, more in-depth Bible study, both in terms of quality and quantity, than I would say the entire evangelical complex combined, if you want to use that kind of terminology. Because whereas, the BGCO here in Oklahoma, well, that's the Southern Baptist Convention here in Oklahoma, BG, Baptist, BGCO, Baptist. It doesn't stand for global, though, does it? BGCO, the Baptist General Convention, that's right. I know that I was, hey, When you have changed 3 diapers today, you let me know, okay? But the Baptist General Convention of Oklahoma, I mean, we've looked at their lists before, right? We've seen their events, their conferences. They will do conferences, but it's always like a men's conference, a women's conference, an evangelism conference. I think that they are due for a good Bible conference in which they actually, study the Bible rather than having some preacher or some more or less motivational speaker come up and then use a few verses here and there and give some rallying cries. How about we actually try to learn what the Word of God says? So, while we look at ourselves and we feel like we are a very small thing, and we absolutely are, okay? It's not like we're the biggest thing going when it comes to reach and impact and people that know about us. I mean, when I think about it, who are those that maybe have the like which right dividing channel has the most subscribers? Probably Grace Ambassadors. And I appreciate a lot of what they do. They're sitting at 17,500 subscribers right there. So I mean, Grace Ambassadors really, they're probably doing the best as far as on the internet. With that being said, I don't know, Terrence McLean's ministry, if we're just talking about overall internet impact, it seems like maybe Terrence McLean. Les Feldick, do we want to group him in there? I mean, he's way better than most, right? So he understands, or he understood. He's gone on to be with the Lord now. But as far as like YouTube reach, 17,500 is pretty good. I'm not saying that that's huge. When you consider, I mean, look at some of the big church ministries that we are kind of competing against, if you will, for the eyes, for the ears of the people to persuade and convince. 17,500 is not a lot. Our Dr. White's ministry is around 6,500. Of course, and that's not entirely fair because he's been doing it for a long time, and his 6,500 are much more of a dedicated group. Don't look at my channel, and see that we're at 9,180, and then just assume that we have this massive impact. So many of those people are not really the faithful. I mean, that's kind of evidence when you look at some of our numbers, our views. But I am telling you right now, we're in a very good position. I really do think so. I think that we are in a place to reach more people, get more eyes on this ministry, not just mine, but Dr. White's and others. And when people start to see that, hey, as far as I know, I'm just telling you right now, I do not know of any other Bible conferences that's been done in Southeast Oklahoma other than mine. I really mean it. The only things that I ever see in any churches that are different from the norm, well, you can't even call revivals different from the norm because that's so common. Every church will host at least 1, maybe 2 revivals a year, it seems like. So it's not like revivals or anything significant, anything important. Maybe discipleship training. Do any churches still do that? That may be something that may be done. But when I look around and I see advertisement for churches, events that are going on, it's either some evangelical, ecumenical event in which, hey, everybody's coming together to do this or do that. I do not see heavy Bible content being addressed. So I think the more that we can do it, the better. Probably this first year, I'm just going to be doing a single conference at the church. And I may do, if any churches are willing, and I've talked about this before, if you are somebody in the Southeast Oklahoma region and you're interested in me going and doing one, I would be very interested in doing that. And truth be told, it doesn't really matter to me what church. I know that, for some people, right, some good old Southern Baptist or what have you say, what? You don't even care what church you're going to? You just go to any church? If anybody wants to, I would go to the skate park if somebody wanted to hear the Bible taught. So with that being said, I think we're in a really good place. All of you who may feel discouraged, downtrodden, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of people that are catching on to understanding their Bibles. They're still just repeating the same old things they've heard, that we are building the kingdom, growing the kingdom, that there's only ever been one gospel, and all of these things that are just repeated over and over again in churches that make no doctrinal, theological, coherent sense. I think you're going to see the fruits of your labor through your years of studying, sharing with people, also supporting the ministry, supporting Dr. White's ministry, and as well as mine. It's because of so many of you on here that we've been able to get somewhat of a reach out there. At least some people have heard, some people have found our ministry. And so I think you need to be encouraged. I think that we're only going to continue to do some really fun and neat things. All right. Now, let's see here. I have been trying to find interesting things in the news for you, but I'll be honest, I don't want to force stories when they're not necessary. I found that that's just not the most interesting, okay? But I will report on the current state of how the SBC is doing. They're having a tough time, people. So how much of this is actually true? How much of it is, just people going after the SBC? But look at this. The SBC has spent nearly $13 million on expenses related to sex abuse investigations. Now, there's many directions that some people would want to take this. Like, we could get on the more high and mighty issue of, the SBC has all these men who are not truly pastors, not truly called by God, otherwise they wouldn't be falling to such sin. And we could go and try to read all the various stories, which I don't find to be very beneficial. That's just kind of more, titillating. I don't think it's very beneficial. Here's the thing that I want to focus on, okay, if I may. Instead of getting down into the mud of all of that, I just want to think about this. The SBC has spent nearly $13 million. Well, where's that money coming? I'm guessing it comes out of the cooperative program funds, doesn't it? So if you are an SBC church and you are giving, and maybe I'm wrong here, but by all means, if somebody would be willing to tell me how that money's being paid, here's what it says. Expenses related to sexual abuse investigations in the Southern Baptist Convention since 2021 have cost the denomination almost $13 million thus far, according to a recent report. SBC Executive Committee President Jeff Lorg said at a meeting last month that as of Christmas Eve 2024, about $13 million has been spent on abuse investigations and legal costs related to said investigations since 2021, reports Baptist Press, the official news organization of the SBC. According to org, the SBC EC, I don't know what the EC stands for there. Executive Committee, I guess the SBC Executive Committee is looking to secure a $3 million loan to help pay for the legal costs that occurred during the present fiscal year. So the thing that I'm wondering about, set aside all that, right, whether it's true or not, and I think a lot of it, everybody loves a good story when a preacher is caught up in doing something illegal, right? They want to get them, right? They want to get them. And paint all churches in a bad light. Oh man, look at how terrible these churches are. Even though, how often do you see a story of something like a teacher or a coach or just something going on in a in a business. I mean, those things happen all the time, but you don't make as much hay off of it if it's a coach. You make a lot more hay off of it if it's a preacher. So whether it's true or not, all it takes is somebody to make an accusation. Part of one of the reasons why I decided to get out of education, because I didn't want to live under the stress of just like one person accusing me of something and then my whole life is just completely destroyed. Because even if, even if it's not true, which it wouldn't be, the damage done is pretty severe, because you will always be known as the person who is accused of doing this. And there's always going to be some people wondering, did he really do it? Did he really do it? Did he really do it? So all that being said, this is setting aside the whole issue of the accusations made against these pastors of the SBC and what other ministers and people may be involved. I'm just saying, wow, that's a lot of money. $13 million so far in legal fees. Now, granted, I'm sure that the overall giving, if you were to look at how much is going to the IMB or NAM, which a lot of that seems to be going to very, very nice salaries in NAM. But anyways, it's, doesn't look good. You've got a little church, doesn't bring in a lot of money month to month, and they're giving 3-4% of their monthly income to the Baptist convention. And it turns out a lot of the money they're giving is, and I say a lot, somebody may argue, well, it's just it's a minority of it. Okay, well, still, they put that money in the plate expecting it to go to the purpose of furthering the gospel, right? Maybe bless their hearts, they think it's going to further the kingdom. But in reality, some of it, not all of it, there is some of it that's going to pay the legal fees for all these accusations. The article goes on. It says the approximately $13 million in expenses included $3.1 million for the Guidepost Solutions investigation, which culminated in the release of a highly publicized report in 2022 detailing how some SBC leaders allegedly mistreated victims of abuse and has mishandled allegations. Another $3.45 million was spent on the indemnification of Guidepost, as well as $2.4 million for litigation, $861,000 for the creation of an abuse hotline, $545,000 for general counsel, and $131,000 for legal support post-investigation. Additionally, approximately $2 million was spent as part of the U.S. Department of Justice investigation of the SBC, which recently closed. Federal authorities did not file any abuse-related charges. Earlier today, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York informed us that the investigation into the Southern Baptist Convention and Executive Committee has officially concluded, said SBC attorneys Gene Besson and Scarlett Noakes in a statement last week. So a lot of reading there. That really, for the most part, concludes the article. How much of it was proven? I don't think a lot of these allegations were even proven. I think the majority of them were not proven. I think the majority of them were just allegations. But that's really beside my point that I'm trying to bring up. When people ask me, why are you anti-denominations? Why are you anti-conventions? Why are you against big churches in general? The bigger you are, the bigger your problems. That really is kind of the general trend here. And if these churches were just independent, you wouldn't be, and once again, I'm assuming here, if somebody would like to prove to me that, Myra, maybe I said something wrong, bless them. He who has never pronounced a name wrong, cast the first stone. Oh, Myra, I'm just giving you a hard time. But these little churches, if they would just be independent, they wouldn't be carrying the water to help pay for these legal fees. A little church that hasn't had accusations, or at least an active one or something, there's probably almost every church is. if you go back in history for almost every church, there's been some, interesting stories and events and things like that. But I'm just saying, isn't it too big? Isn't that getting ridiculous? $13 million? Where's that money coming from? And once again, if somebody is trying to say, no, the little rural church in Western Kentucky isn't having to pay for those legal fees, show me how. Show me where the $13 million is coming from. Please. I'm just saying, it is so, the SBC is, whatever it was initially supposed to be, whether the merits of that was good or not, what it is today, I think we need to, how do I put this nicely? Take the horse out back and put it down? At this point, I really don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. It's better just every church go independent. Each person handle your own problems. And it's a whole lot easier to handle legal issues when it's not massive, far too influential organizations. Things get covered up, and then guess what? Then you're not only incriminating yourself, but you're incriminating entire organizations, and you're bringing a lot of churches down with it too. And think about that. I want you to really think about that for a second. Okay, let's expand beyond just the matter of the SBC. Imagine, if you will, that you are a small local church, and then there's another church down the road. And at that church down the road, there's something that happens, all right? Scandal, allegation, you name it. That alone, what happens at that other church, will negatively affect you in the eyes of some people. Like, those churches, they're all the same. There's no difference. There ain't no use in going to them, right? There's always those people out there. Now, think about if you have an affiliation with that church. Maybe you have done some kind of event with that church, right? You've taken your kids there for a youth program or something, and you affiliate with the church, and you are not just, it's not just this church is its own unique body, that church is its own unique body, but now you're actually affiliated. They're part of the same association. Well, then something happens at that church. Now it really amplifies how negatively that affects you. Because, Ken just right, guilt by association, both literally and figuratively. You're associated with them, that's a black eye on you. The risk versus reward, I don't think is worth it. We're not even talking about matters of doctrine. Imagine if it's another right dividing church down the road. I know that's a crazy thing, because there are no right dividing churches right next to each other. But let's just say hypothetically that here's this town, there's a right dividing church, down the road is another right dividing church 20 miles away. Okay? The risk of being closely tied at the hip to one another, I'm not saying that you can't engage in some help. Hey, over here, we're trying to do a food drive. Hey, we'll help you. We'll bring some cans of green beans over. Or hey, we're having a Bible conference. Why don't y'all come and join? Sure, we'll come and join you. You can do things. I'm not saying that you have to have this wall between each other to where you never affiliate. But how about you keep the entities separate? That this is the congregation of I don't know, let's just use Cooperville, all right? There's a Right Divine Church in Cooperville, I'm sorry. You got Cooperville over here, and you got Smithville over here. I'm thinking of Smithville, Oklahoma, but you get my point. Cooperville and Smithville. You can have friends with the church over there. You could go to each other's Bible conferences. You could, if you wanted to come together to do cleanup after a tornado goes through, that's fine and great. But when you enter into any kind of binding contract, affiliation agreement, holding to bylaws, that's when you're really tying yourself together. And I don't think I would be in support of it, even if it was another right dividing church. I think we're much better off keeping everything as independent and self-contained as possible. So the SBC has really shot themselves in the foot in a number of ways. I think they started out shooting themselves in the foot doctrinally. They sacrificed a lot of doctrine when they bought into the liberal church growth movement, but now all the more so. And now there's these churches. Here's what's funny to me. You want to know a sign that the whole SBC banner title is no good anymore? Because you have these little churches popping up that are naming themselves, I don't know, Riverside or West Road, or I don't know, something. I'm just coming up with random names. But it's Riverside Church, West Road Church, Cloudy River Church, whatever term you want to use. And they're Southern Baptist. If you look even maybe on the sign, it's real small, or if you go inside and you see like some official paperwork, it says SBC, but they're not even wanting to put SBC on the sign because the SBC is running out of good faith and favor with the people. It's just where you are today. So that really is, I think that if you are an SBC church, and it takes time, and I'm speaking as somebody who is a pastor of a church, who is a part of the the Bryan Baptist Association, which is a member of the BGCO. I get it, okay? But hey, when it comes to turning churches, some people think turning churches should be like turning on a dime, like you're in a little hot rod and you can just, whip around. Like my wife's Ford Explorer, I love driving it in parking lots because you can just turn it so sharp. And then like my pickup, it turns a little bit wider. And then my father-in-law, he's got a long bed standard transmission F-150, and that thing takes a whole lot longer to turn. But churches are not even the long bed F-150 people, and people want to think they are like a little Ford Explorer in which you can just turn it on a dime, whip right into any parking lot. You can't do it. It is much more like trying to turn an aircraft carrier. It takes so long. How long does it take to turn any of our Navy men on here? Anybody ever been on an aircraft carrier? I mean, those things take miles and miles to turn. It'll take time. It'll take time for these things to change. I think it will. I think once churches realize we've been paying $13 million in legal fees, maybe it'll be enough to get their eyes to open up and they'll start to question their decision-making there. So that's the current updates on the SBC. We're going to continue to follow some of their events and goings and doings for sure. All right. Let's see here. Another thing that I want to talk to you about today, very briefly, is Disney released a new movie, Snow White, and it has not been received very well. We'll just put it that way. Let's see. The Hollywood Reporter is going to try to give it the best spin possible. Here's how the Hollywood Reporter is speaking about the new Snow White movie. Snow White review: Rachel Zegler shines and Gal Gadot glowers in Disney's mostly captivating live-action update. Now, I don't know if you've been following much of this attention here, but that is Snow White. Now, let me, to help you recall here, the Snow White from the movie, what Snow White looked like in the movie. This is the Snow White from 1937. All right, there's Snow White from 1937. And then this is Snow White from, whoops, sorry, there's a great big shoe ad right there in the way. If anybody needs some nice shoes, let me know. And that's the Snow White here. Now, Disney has made it their personal objective in life to replace every single person who has a lighter skin tone with somebody who has darker skin tone, because diversity and white person bad, I think, is their mentality. So first of all, when it was announced, they've already made The Little Mermaid, which I believe The Little Mermaid was based on French fairy tales, and the French people have a very specific look to them. But they decided to replace The Little Mermaid with somebody more diverse. They then decided to go ahead and replace Snow White, which I believe one of the aspects of Snow White is that her skin is white as snow, which is why she's called Snow White. She's the fairest of them all. But Rachel Zegler, who I believe is Italian maybe, or maybe she's Latina, I don't know. She has some kind of background that gives her the benefits of probably not getting sunburned nearly as badly as the original Snow White. I know I sunburned quite badly. So there was already the notions that, hey, they're already trying to do the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, the movie comes out, all right, and it has been received, despite the Hollywood Reporter's best efforts to give it a flowery description, it is not good, and there are several reasons why it is not good. First of all, you may recall originally that the love interest of Snow White is Prince Charming, correct? And it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I've seen it. And he hears her singing, and he climbs up the wall to see her. Snow White's Prince Charming in this movie is not a prince at all. He is essentially a criminal. But, he's a misunderstood criminal with a heart of gold. So I think maybe he's a thief or something like that. But regardless, here's what they've done. They have decided to replace the, Prince Charming all around, not American, but good guy, right? But essentially all American boy with, a scoundrel who is now the love interest. Now, they did decide to rewrite it, I think, because originally Rachel Zegler said that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and certainly I think that's part of the case in this movie, because do you remember in the first Snow White when Snow White was fighting the grown men in the kingdom? Yeah, neither do I, because it didn't happen. But Rachel Zegler, who I believe is, let's see here, Rachel Zegler height. Rachel Zegler is 5'2", and she's quite a thin person. Like, for example, here's Rachel Zegler standing next to somebody. I don't know, but he's probably, let's just assume like he's a little over 6 foot, but like 5'2". That's Rachel Zegler, very tiny, very petite girl. Yeah, I don't think a girl who is 5'2" is going to be fighting anyone, even like any other girl either. But Disney shoots themselves in the foot, and I will say this: I love to see it. I am enjoying the downfall of Disney. Now, there for a while, I rooted for Disney to correct course, and get back to making good family movies. But they have decided to continually to double down. And you know what? At a certain point, I no longer root for your redemption. I root for your self-destruction. So you know what, Disney? Keep it up. It's a shame that we don't have good stories anymore. I remember I lived in a really interesting time right at the turn of things, because when I was born, there was Aladdin, which was a good movie. There was The Little Mermaid, which was good. These were ones that were made close to the town around the time I was born, maybe a little bit before, but pretty close. And we had Beauty and the Beast, and I know some of you really like Beauty and the Beast, and I enjoy it, but I'm just telling you, if Disney would have made Beauty and the Beast back in the day, Gaston would have been the hero. I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. That was the first sign. When they made the macho man who wanted to marry Belle and start a family the bad guy, that was the sign that told you that Disney was headed down a bad path. I I don't really know what to do for our kids other than just let them watch old stuff. That's about what we do. My son watches very few new movies. Most of the movies that he watches are older movies. Right now, he likes Batman, and so he's watching Batman the Animated Series, which was like the early 90s, I think, maybe the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. We just we let him watch the old VeggieTales. Ken says even vegetables went crazy. I think you mean VeggieTales. Yeah, I don't even know about the new stuff. I don't really care. We let him watch the old VeggieTales. He loves to sing, Where's My Hairbrush and Cheeseburger. I've gotten pretty good at singing those. I know every word to Cheeseburger. It took me a while, but I finally got it down. But what is a parent to do? And it's a very difficult thing because at some point my kids are going to go out in the world and they're going to see what movies and things are like. I hope they will have discernment. And we will try to instill in them discernment to understand why these new movies are no good. That, look, once upon a time, the idea was the boy, the prince, the princess. One of the things I liked about Sleeping Beauty is that the prince actually did something. Like he fought the dragon. He fought the, whatever, what was her name? Maleficent. He fought Maleficent when she was a dragon and won. And rescued Aurora. I don't know. I think those are classic stories that it's good for kids to see. But nowadays, our children have nothing to be excited about. So I think that we are. Let's just look at the big picture now. Used to what was considered maybe a backbone of American Christianity, the SBC, right? Still, I think considered the largest denomination to this day. Even though I don't know how much they're having to inflate their numbers in order to try to hold on to that title. But you've got the SBC who are in a tailspin of decline, I would say. They're spending tons of money on legal fees. They're paying outrageous salaries in large degree. I mean, what is the... Let's see if I can just find a little bit of quick research here. See how much the, let's see here. Reports suggest, oh no, that's a Doge. I looked up NAM, North American Mission Board, 6-figure salaries, but they're paying a lot of very high salaries. I'm just saying the SBC is in decline. Last week, I think I talked about how we are, I think, in the twilight days of the SBC. Our backbone of Americana entertainment, Disney of all things, is in decline. They're losing money, and I try to keep my ear to the ground on some of the things in Hollywood. There's a few different YouTube people that I follow and listen to. Disney's not backing down. They are going to continue. People keep thinking, Disney will get back on track. Disney will get back on track. People, I'm telling you, they're not getting back on track. I think they are bought and paid for by somebody. And the people that are calling the shots are fully dedicated. I mean, they believe, just as there are people who will give and give and give to the SBC as the Titanic sinks into the ocean. There are people who are so determined to push the progressive liberal ideological agenda, they will lose millions and millions and millions year after year. They will let movies flop again and again and again. That's what Disney's been having. Their movies have been flopping, and yet there is no slowing down. There is no stopping. They will continue to march forward with their agenda. And so Disney's lost. All right, I'm just telling you. Disney's gone. The backbone of Christian American Christian, evangelical, whatever terminology you want to use, is waning. It's a very interesting time. And while that could make us very nervous, that we look and Hollywood is completely corrupt, even though they've been corrupt for a long time, but now they're really gone. The institutions of American Christian values are in their waning years. You could look at it and you could want to panic a little bit, even though we don't agree with a lot of the doctrine of the SBC, for example. You at least, you don't like to see people leaving churches, all right? Or when I say people leaving churches, you don't like to see churches shutting down, and churches are shutting down, all right? I'm telling you that right now. I know in my area, sadly, it is sad to me. Even if we don't agree on doctrine, it does make me sad, because there are small country churches, the doors are shutting because people aren't going. They can't find pastors. It's a sad thing. But we can look at these things and we can either think this is a sign of hopelessness, or we can see it as a sign of opportunity. And I am much more of the mentality that this is a time of opportunity. This is where we can really get some ground in. Okay, I'm telling you, I really believe this. I think that the next 5 to 10 years are going to be quite interesting. I think they're going to be interesting for, can I be a little bit conceited for a moment? I think they're going to be interesting for my ministry. I'm optimistic about it, not because I think that I'm really doing anything too special. I just think that right place, right time. I'm trying to teach the Bible the best I can. People are responding well to it. We're finding people. I mean, I really did not think that in a year of what I was doing that I would get to know the people that I've gotten to know, accomplish the things that I've accomplished. And I don't see it as my accomplishments all on my own. It's what we're doing together. So I'm very optimistic for myself. But also, I'm optimistic for just general conservatism, not good old George Bush, 2000 conservatism, right, which is just libertarianism. I'm very much confident that we will have true conservative values, a defense. There will be a day in which you will have local politicians, I think, defending traditional marriage again. I really think that's something that we will see, a defense of traditional marriage. When we redefined marriage, it caused a lot of problems. I think we're well on our way to seeing a pushback to defending the legal view of traditional marriage. That is going to be a great thing. I think that we are going to see more gains in the push for pro-life. I don't think that abortion is near as popular as what people think it is. And I think that people are realizing that the left is only using the most extreme of cases to give a defense for abortion. And then furthermore, when it comes to rightly dividing the word of truth, I think that churches, ministries that do it are going to continue to see growth. I don't think they're going to diminish. I think that they're going to have people who are solidified, cemented, dedicated, and it will be really exciting. It will be really exciting. We'll still see some hard times ahead of us for sure. I'm not saying it's going to get better before it gets worse. Definitely, we could have some hard times ahead. But I think that I have an optimistic outlook. And maybe I'm just young, maybe I'm idealistic, maybe I'm naive. But I think we've got some good years ahead of us. I really am, and and it's in no small part to people like you. I know that it's Dr. White, it's other people. I mean, I do the same thing that he does, kind of on the internet. Do live shows and broadcast sermons and whatnot. I know that the eyes are kind of on those kinds of people, but if it's not for you supporting us in your word of mouth, in being involved, in engaging with us, also the support that you give to our ministries, this thing would not be possible, because we would just be speaking to a void, speaking to a vacuum. And so many of you have been a great source of encouragement to me. I can't tell you how many times that I think, why do I continue to do this thing? I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference, but then I think, you know what? I need to make my show, and I need to go live today, because you know who's going to be there? Myra's going to be there. Myra's going to be there. She's going to be happy, excited to hear whatever we're going to discuss, even if it's me just ranting and rambling for a while. Mary's going to be there. Rick's going to be there. Ken, Kitty, my mom is going to be there. You name it. All the different people who take time to engage, to discuss. I know that Madison and them in Wisconsin will be tuning in at least sometimes. I think they're listening to us right now. They just don't always comment. And that gives me the motivation right there. Sometimes maybe all it takes is just you even seeing me continuing to do it, marching ahead, preparing sermons, preparing Bible studies, speaking out on matters of culture, politics, theology, you name it, on a regular basis, just to let you know, hey, we're not alone. You're not by yourself. There's people who are still trying to stand for truth, and you get to hopefully enjoy the fruits of your dedication and commitment. So we try to do fun things for you. We try to do things like this Bible conference, in which it will be kind of like 2 days, I would say. Even though it's over the course of 3 days, we'll have a Friday night, we'll have an all-day Saturday, and then we'll have a Sunday morning, in which it'll be a fun time of fellowship, giving good, sound Bible teaching, and a time to have fun. And I would recommend it if you are someone who has not engaged in any of these kind of events. As fun as it is to meet in person and get to know each other, as fun as it is to get to meet online and engage in our live shows and discussions, anybody who has been to like the Branson Conference, anybody who's going to come to this Bible conference that we're doing at Blue, you'll be able to see just how much fun it is when we get to fellowship together. Because it really is so encouraging to see, hey, here are the people that understand the Word of God. They take it literally, grammatically, historically, contextually. They rightly divide it. They believe in the same values. We are trying to accomplish the same goal of getting Christianity, people who believe the Bible, back on track to sound doctrine. We are sick and tired of the progressive, liberal, disregarding the Word of God ideology that has taken over our culture and politics. We're ready to dig our heels into the ground, and we're not going to be pushed around. They're not going to come in here and tell us what to do. We've got some backbone, theological backbone, political backbone, you name it. We're going to stand for the Word of truth. We're not going to give up 1 inch. As a matter of fact, we're going to take ground. All right? And, one of these days when I, become the most famous preacher in all of America, then you can say that you were a part of it. Something like that anyways, all right? Well, anyways, I really do appreciate every single one of you. I've got to go. I've got to get finished up on session number 7 of our Bible conference. And I'm really excited. If you have any questions at all, I want you to ask me. Feel free to email me, text me, whatever you need. And I certainly hope that you can join us for our Bible conference, which is going to be next week, March 28th to the 30th. I do still have a few sponsors. So if you are willing to travel to come see us, we have somebody who can put you up, who can give you some room and board. Well, with that, this has been Shields and Arrows, where we defend the faith, the family, and the fellowship. I am Pastor Mark Baze. Thank you all so much for all that you do. You are all great friends of mine, and I truly do appreciate you. Thank you all so much.